Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfinia. This is episode 304 of my Minecraft survival series, and in the last episode, we did a little bit of work over here in the quarantine district of Wolfen's Labs. Finally finished up the Reaper. It is up, it is operational. However, we did make some changes into how it operates last episode, so we're still kind of waiting for it to fill back up to get a good test out of it to be sure everything's good here. But we're not going to sit around waiting for that. No, we got other stuff to do. We got materials sitting by waiting to be put somewhere. We've got projects in progress. One of them is over here in the business district of Wolfinia at the House of Leaves. Owie. Dumb door. Now, within the House of Leaves, we have recently finished up our cactus farm, which is related to the Reaper. This thing is currently feeding the Reaper. I think everything's good here. We got cacti flowing in, which is awesome. But we did leave a little bit of the area just beyond our cactus farm unfinished, and I believe we decided that maybe it would be part 2 of the cactus farm, just like kind of another viewing area here. I don't think we're actually going to go through with that. Not as stated, anyway. Because if we did go through with that, we'd have to clean up a lot of this area in here, kind of make everything make a bit more sense. And I don't think that's what we want. I don't think we really want for the House of Leaves to make too much sense. And if we were to make this another part of the cactus farm, and that's on the opposite side of that part of the cactus farm, spatially, yeah, it makes sense, which is not what the House of Leaves is about. It should be just like a confusing mass of corridors and an area way too big for what it appears to be on the outside, yeah? So I think what we are going to do here instead of that is we're just going to make kind of a random little room that's going to serve no real purpose but to just kind of break up the corridors a little bit. And I think I've pretty much got the layout more or less how I want it. I think we are just about ready to go. So at this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work. Welcome back, everybody. At this point, we've got a little bit more going on here at the House of Leaves. We got this little area down here, little corridor that leads to our little room that we just built. I kind of darkened everything up a little bit just to kind of add to the ambiance of it all. And overall, I think I like it. You know, it's a moody little area. It's mysterious. Makes you wonder what this is for anyway. You got the glow like in here. That will hopefully make these blocks all non-spawnable. I think we should be good as far as all that goes. Overall, though, I'm liking it. You know, I think it's a nice little addition, pointless though it may be. And I think we are ready to move on. So that once again concludes the House of Leaves for now until we decide to make another addition. Hi. Can I help you? We don't really get many visitors around these parts. Actually, we don't ever get any. Did you need something? Like moss or vines, maybe? Is there anything I can help you with? All right, so my original plan for this episode was to make my way back over to Wolfen's Laboratories Quarantine District, but the fellow over here that we just met, who turns out to be Mr. Wolfen's son, by the way, has a different job for us. Word passed down from the boss, and you know what? When the boss says we gotta do something, we gotta go do it. Turns out that thing we gotta go do is make our way over to WARF, because WARF has some, well, maintenance issues that need to be taken care of. So, we're going to go ahead and put our work here in Wolfenia on hold for just a little bit and make our way over to the Wolfen's Aquatic Research Facility. Alright, so I got a to-do list of things to do over here at WARF. I guess we're going to start over here at the Guardian Farm area, and because the auto-crafting is working so well over in Wolfenia, we're going to go ahead and bring that technology over here to WARF. So we've got all these prismarine shards just laying around, the same thing with these prismarine crystals, and we don't need these individual bits and bobs. No, we need the actual items, the sea lanterns and all that. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and make our way back here to the guts of the storage system, mostly so I can kind of refamiliarize myself with how all this works. We'll probably have to shut this off for a little bit, because we're going to be tearing everything out anyway. Yeah, let me go through and just kind of figure out how we're going to proceed. All right, so first things first, all of this stuff, it needs to go. Because basically what we're going to do is we're going to take all these chests out, which means these are going to go all over the floor if I don't do something with them. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and start crafting up as many sea lanterns as we can. After that, we'll craft up some prismarine and just kind of consolidate all this nonsense into, well, as few chests as possible. Alright, so now that that's taken care of, let's continue the teardown process. I think all of this redstone is going to need to go, and we're going to basically start fresh. And that gives us a little bit of room to actually do some work here. I don't think I showed you guys like what we actually made from that. We got quite a few sea lanterns. We also got some prismarines and stuff like that just to have on hand. Now that that's done, we can get started with today's project. So basically, I want to have a series of auto crafters here that craft sea lanterns, prismarine, dark prismarine even. And I think the dark prismarine is going to be tricky because we don't get the squid ink from this farm anymore, thank goodness. So we'll have to bring over some black ink from our Wither Rose farm to do that. But basically, it should be as simple as, you know, insert black ink and then prismarine, dark prismarine gets made. Now, the storage for all this is going to be where it was previously. We're going to keep everything right here in this area. But since we're storing full blocks, we can use less chests and actually get more items stored, so that's a good thing. Now, as far as the redstone, we're probably going to have to go up pretty high with this because we got item filters, we got crafters, all that stuff that needs to be wired up and hooked in. And since the kelp farm is something else that's on our to-do list, I'm thinking we can go ahead and take the automatic shut-off down as well, because that's going to be kind of in our way right now. But I do think I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. So let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get it done. Welcome back, everybody. At this point, we have updated our Guardian farm. We have modernized it. Let's go ahead and make our way down here into the redstone so you can see what's going on. Overall, I think it's a lot better than the system we had in here previously. We can go ahead and walk through it. So you can see we got items flowing in. Those are the jobs from our Guardian farm. They will get filtered through this item filter. Any fish that find their way in there will get shot out of here. Those will get sent over to our fisherman area. Anything that's not fish, however, will proceed through this. So basically, you can see all the prismarine shards that are getting flung up through there. Those are going to go into our auto crafters. They will make their way down into this system right here, which is basically a series of item filters. This one right here is for prismarine crystals. Everything else is basically for prismarine shards. Anything that's not any of those two items will just continue along and get destroyed. Once these hoppers eventually fill up, any excess will get destroyed because we don't really have a need to store excess at this point. Now, as far as the auto crafters go, you can see them at work over here. Well, you can see this one at work over here. Basically, we have these ordered in order of priority, what I need most. So we'll start with sea lanterns and prismarine blocks, the other type of prismarine, and then we have prismarine shards getting filtered out over here to make the dark prismarine, which is stored down here. Right here, we have an input for our black ink. You can see that the redstone is currently off. The auto crafter is not activated until we put black ink in there, and then it'll start actually crafting. And once the black ink is gone, it'll turn off by itself. Same thing goes for some of this stuff up here. You can see we have them all run basically off the same clock. But we do have shutoffs for some of these. So for our sea lanterns, if we run out of prismarine crystals and we don't have any in there right now, this shuts off the auto crafter right here. As far as the regular prismarine goes, we're always crafting regular prismarine as long as we have the shards coming in to do so. And then as far as the other type of prismarine that I can't remember the name of, we do have a shutoff for this, so that way we can make sure it fills up completely, which you can see it has not yet done so because it's turned off. But that's so we can make those blocks instead of the regular prismarine. We also now have a way to access our storage room from the backstage area and vice versa. Of course, this is the official way in. This is how we will normally enter this place. Most of the changes here have to do with storage. And you can see we are storing some sea lanterns at this point. We do have some prismarine crystals coming in, so we'll be making more of those. We are also making just a ton of prismarine. We have plenty of prismarine shards coming in to do that. And we also have some of this. Some of this stuff is actually excess left over from when I did my crafting session a bit earlier. So don't confuse some of the excess in there with the rates. I do have a little bit of manual storage down here, some barrels just to keep some excess in, to keep crafted items, stuff like that. Also, in this chest in particular, we have our black ink here, so we can go ahead and put some of this into the system and show you how the dark prismarine gets made. So, you can see that automatically starts up our crafter. It is now crafting dark prismarine, which is going to be stored in this chest right here. Basically, this will shut off automatically once the black ink has been depleted. And to do this, we do have to keep the crafter pretty much full, just kind of stocked up on everything. And that's just mostly for simplicity's sake. So, you see, it always pays to double check your work, even years later, because I have discovered that we do have a backup in our item collection. We actually should be getting more stuff than we are. So I think before we wrap things up here, I'm gonna go ahead and fix all this. There we go. You can see we are now evacuating items from this area much more quickly. I can't imagine there will be a backup now with all this. There will be a backup upstairs, most definitely, but that's not really the point, because this is currently filled with all of the stuff that just came out of those barrels I broke, which will definitely overwhelm what's going on upstairs, but I don't think that's really an issue because any excess will just get destroyed anyway. I will, however, keep an eye on it, just to see how much waste we're actually creating, if any, by the time this evens out. All right, yeah, I mean, we're actually looking pretty good here, I think. I added a second fish filter that we can pull the fish out more quickly, and I think that works because we don't get too significant of a backup here, and once we do, and we start getting fish coming through here, as the fish is pulled out, it clears up pretty quickly after that. So I think, yeah, you just saw. So I think we're probably actually good here. Oh, and we're crafting sea lanterns now, which is awesome. You can see, just like the Dark Prismarine, I do have to keep this pretty full in order to make sure we can continue to craft sea lanterns and only sea lanterns here. But, yeah, I think that's all looking good. And over here, we don't really get too much of a backup either. I think this is all looking good. Everything's running smoothly, which is a nice change of pace. And I think on that high note, that is a good place to go ahead and call it for today's episode. We have our Guardian farm updated with auto crafters now to produce sea lanterns, which is mainly what I use it for anyway. I think we're all good here. There's still more work to be done here at WARF, of course, like our kelp farm right here. That's, as I said, on the list. Maybe for obvious reasons, but that can wait till another episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you'll stick around for the next one. But as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. Until next time, I will see you guys later.